Hey, sports and drafts fans, how's everybody doing? It's Wednesday. Welcome to the show. He's Dave. I'm Chuck, and this is Sports and Drafts. And I'm waiting for my AirPods to kind of kick in here. But hey, Dave, how's your week been? How's everything going?
Awesome. I'm excited for tonight because we saw the best weekend of football in my lifetime, maybe anybody's lifetime. So I have been excited since about midnight on Sunday to get to this show this week because I've never had a funner weekend of watching football in my life than past weekend.
I know you sent me a text, afterwards, and I didn't want to steal your thunder when you said that, when this is the best weekend of football ever, and it really was, and it capped off, with the Bills and Chiefs. Four games that were close, they were competitive. A couple of games were broken open by one team, another team coming back. I mean, you had a little bit of everything in there, and you really got to see kind of the best and maybe not so much of the best of everyone, in the league. And so not all my picks who I maybe wanted to win one, but it was a good weekend, and we're certainly going to jump into that. And so I saw your post earlier on Play It Through. Tell me about your shirt for today, though.
I'm repping green today. So green, I'm repping the green. It's has several different causes that it's associated with, but I'm really repping it today for just mental health. I have a lot of friends and family, and me personally, we all go through some mental health battles dealing with things during our life where maybe we get a little anxiety, a little depression, a little in our heads. And so I'm just repping the green to let myself know that it's okay to feel that way. And that, I can talk myself through things. I can reach out to people. My wife's been wonderful with any anxieties I've had this week or any thoughts that I've had, supporting me, in my corner, like a spouse should be. So I'm thankful for her. So I got this one. I'm working with kind of a new screener in town. It's a different option for me to have another backup local person to work with. Cool. And so this is actually a new shirt from that new screener that I like. And so I actually went there on my lunch break today and dropped off a few more shirts and have a hat coming, and just seeing how they do with my logo. And they just have some more options. So there's some new things to come on the social media. You'll see some of the new shirts that will be popping up on the pages soon.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I saw and liked your post earlier today on Facebook on the Play It Through Facebook page. So before we jump in, there are some stories. I'll let you run through these. And I did not know this, and that it's been 2 years now.
Yeah. So today, it's the 2-year anniversary of the passing of Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gigi, and the rest of those individuals that lost their life in the helicopter accident here in Southern California. So just wanted to, bring that up. There was a lot of things on social media today, just a lot of people posting how they still miss Kobe and they still think about him. And several athletes posted things on their social media about how, moments with him still mean a lot, and they still think about it, and how much he helped motivate, other athletes by, what he said to them and things like that. So just wanted to celebrate, the 2-year anniversary. And it's always a good reminder that just because people are gone doesn't mean they're gone. We can still think about them. We can still, I really think it's one of the greatest things, to be an athlete, to be an artist, to be a musician, to be an actor, cinematographer, anything like that, author. Your work can live on forever. So, I really appreciate all these creative people and creative minds and athletes, and, those people, we get to enjoy their careers. I mean, nobody watches what me and you do all day, Chuck, unfortunately, for our job, but these people do. I mean, you can see them in real time. They're criticized, but not only are they criticized, they get to live forever through what they create. And, if you're good enough, you're immortalized, basically. So just a reminder that just just because you're gone doesn't mean you're forgotten. So
Right. That's great. Thanks for bringing that up, because again, I didn't notice. This was an interesting story that I'll let you tell us about as well. Kind of read through it after when you sent it to me today.
yeah, so I guess the Buffalo Bills, they have a tradition of kind of there's a group of the Bills that donate to other teams' charities. Well, the Chiefs paid it forward in that respect. So after the Bills lost to the Chiefs last week, there is a children's hospital in Buffalo, and there is a wing that Josh Allen, the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills, it's named after his grandmother, who passed away there. So basically, it took Patrick Mahomes 13 seconds, right, to come down and tie that game, send it into overtime, and then the Chiefs won. So what the Chiefs fans did was they would make $13 donations to this Buffalo Children's Hospital, and they've raised over like $230,000 since Sunday. So since Sunday, this Buffalo Children's Hospital has received, over $220,000 in donation from Chiefs fans.
That's awesome.
And so that's just cool. So I thought that was a really cool story about, good sportsmanship, not being, sort of loose. Is it kind of a dig because you're given $13 for the 13 seconds? Sure. But for a fun reason, and
sure.
And the Bills understand it because they've done it to other teams too, where they give to charities for different reasons like that. A group of Bills fans. So it was just cool to see that the Bills benefit off of something they kind of started from another team. And I definitely thought it was worth sharing. Really cool story. I'd never seen anything like this before.
That is cool. That is really cool. So Hall of Fame ballot for this year.
So we're gonna leave this here. So these are all the players that could have been selected, Chuck. These are everyone that was eligible to be selected in the Hall of Fame. I believe you have to have a 75% out of all the voters. You have to have 75% of them check your name off on the ballot for you to get in, which the Baseball Hall of Fame is known, especially for the last 20 years, as the hardest Hall of Fame to get into, I think. There's some years nobody gets in. This year, there were 6 writers that left their ballot blank and said nobody deserved to get in that was on this list. And there's, I think, 50 of them. So out of all of these guys, one guy made it this year, and it was the Big Papi Ortiz there. So he's the only one, David Ortiz.
Wow.
He's the only one to get in this year. And from that ballot, if you look, Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds, this was their last year.
Yeah.
To get in. So
Curt Schilling.
They didn't get in. Sammy Sosa, none of them got in. And so, yeah, they're out for the foreseeable future. I don't know if there's like a committee that comes along, because like the NFL has one. It's like, retired older veteran players can get in that don't get in from the initial committee, I guess. I think there's something like that for baseball, but I don't know how long those guys will have to wait now to get in. And then some of these guys that were first ballot, you have to get at least 20 votes to get in, or not to get in, but to get on next year's ballot. Right. So you have to get 20 just to get onto the next year's ballot. And like Tim Lincecum got like 6. So it's like one and done. Like it's an uphill battle for any of these guys that didn't get at least 20 votes to even try, like Torrey Hunter and, several of these guys on this list didn't receive the 20 votes. And yeah, they may not get on another ballot because we got new guys eligible next year to get on the ballot. So So really interesting. And, Alex Rodriguez didn't get in, which everyone knows who he is, but it's all because of the steroids and the steroid era. And,
sure,
that's why most of these guys aren't getting in. And there's been a lot of argument, just put an asterisk by their name. Or, one guy today was like, there's a ton of Barry Bonds memorabilia in Cooperstown. He's just not in it.
Right.
The steroided up bat where he is the all-time leading home run hitters in there. The bat from when he was the ball from when he hit the most home runs in a season, more than anyone else in Major League history. And that's kind of argument is, okay, you can't put the memorabilia in there if you're not going to put the guy in there.
Right.
You know, I mean, how do you do that? You know,
the other name I see that's missing from this is Pete Rose.
Well, he's over the 10-year limit. So, yeah, he'd have to be on that special old guys list that gets
free Pete Rose. You know, we did the free Brittany. We need a free Pete Rose. And
I think it's just stupid because anybody that watched baseball is obviously he's one of the best players ever. He led the majors in all-time hits. You know, one of the most major statistical categories in baseball. He's the all-time leader. Same with Barry Bonds. You can't tell the story of baseball without Pete Rose or Barry Bonds. Right. So they're Hall of Famers. Anyone that knows anything about baseball, they have to be mentioned. You know, some of those other guys, no. But those two, they're baseball, you know.
Yeah. Hey, Jim and Cindy. Hope you're enjoying Yuma. Thanks for taking some time out away from your friends to join the show, unless you're having a big watch party with all your friends. So, you know, that one view might be 20 or 50, you know, you get all your friends together. So thanks for doing that tonight.
They're on the free Wi-Fi at the Motel 6.
Right. Before we get started though, I mean, or any further is we are Sports and Drafts, and it wouldn't be a Sports and Drafts show without the brew or draft or drink of our choice for the night. I found out after I bought this that this is actually a redo, but probably from almost 2 years ago. And so
you like it.
And so they said that they had too much happy hour, and good for you guys. You deserve it. So hope you guys are having a blast. But so this week I'm actually going back to this is an old Rasputin. I get this, you know, a few times a year. It's a Russian stout, and I gotta block my face here so I can get that in there. But off North Coast Brewing, and it's just a fantastic stout. I love this beer. Obviously, you know, everybody's gonna know what that color is, and it does have a high ABV. I think it's like 10.5% or something like that. It's quite high. That's not why I buy it. Oh, actually, it's only 9%. They brought it down, I think. But it's 9%. And but I enjoy this. But I did get one this last weekend, and I unfortunately drank them all this week. It's called, I think it was called Old Chub. I'm gonna go back and get some, and I'll have it for next week. Old Chub. It's a Scotch ale. It's about as dark as this, and oh my goodness, that was probably the best beer I've ever had. And so I'm gonna have to go back and Total Wine and get some more, because I was looking for something this weekend for the games, and I'm like, you know, I want to be able to go home and drink one right away. So I went to the cooler rather than just getting them off the shelf where they're warm and wait for them to cool at home. So I went to the cooler, and I'm like, oh, that one, I haven't had that. That looks good. So that Old Chub Scotch Ale was phenomenal. But yeah, so anyway, it's Old Rasputin tonight, and enjoying this glass. What you got on tap?
So I haven't opened mine yet, but it's got to be serious. So we were running errands, me and the wife, and I was like, oh, I need to get a beer for the show. And we were by my favorite liquor store over off Jefferson Avenue in Temecula, California here. And I run in, and we have a running joke. So we've never seen the show Game of Thrones. I haven't watched one episode. My wife hasn't watched one episode, but we know it was a hugely popular show on HBO. And so I go in, and I'm in the individual section, and there's all these nice, you know, bigger, expensive bottles. And I see this one. So in the show, there's a character, and she is the mother of dragons. She's one of the most popular characters, I guess. I don't know if she's like a queen, but she's like a ruler on the show. She's like one of the biggest main characters. Well, she's the mother of dragons. So we just thought that was hilarious. And so instead of cussing in our house, that's what we say. We yell out, oh, mother of dragons, or, you know, not even knowing what it references. We just are having fun. And so I walk in there, and I find Mother of Dragons. And it is from Ohm Gang Brewery in Cooperstown, New York. It's an official licensed product of HBO. And it's a 6.6 smoked porter and Creek Ale blend. And it is a Royal Reserve collection. And
it looks like it's a 750 ml. It looks like a wine bottle size.
Yeah, it's pretty big. And so you saw I just opened it. So obviously I haven't tried it yet. It has a nice dark color.
Yeah.
Maybe a nice frothy head there. I'll go for it. Oh, yeah. It's got a little zip to it. It's like a porter, but it has, I don't know. It's got like a little almost carbonation type feel to it a little bit. But yeah, it has a really good flavor. It's going to be easy drinking for this dark. So yeah, it's just, like I said, 6.6, but yeah, pretty good. So yeah, good pick, worth the price. Wasn't a cheap one. But yeah, glad I got it.
Well, not when you got a bottle that big. You opened it, so that means that's gonna have to be gone by the end of the show.
Yeah, here we go.
That's the rule.
Here we go.
You start drinking, I'll start talking. So,
right.
We jumped into a lot of football this last weekend. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, all 4 games were close in the end, and one of them almost turned off. I think the Rams game I almost turned off. Rams go up like 27-3. It's over and at halftime, and but I stuck it out because I had nothing else to do. My family was in California, so what else am I going to do? So I stuck it out and watched the game and watched Brady come back, and again, should have won it, couldn't win it, and but my game of the week though was really still that Bills Chiefs game. I mean, it was kind of slow it was really slow up until the last 2 minutes of the game, and they scored like 25 points in the last minute and 57 seconds. But yeah, for me, that was definitely the game of the week. I mean, Josh Allen just played, balls out once they finally opened it up. And I thought, because they really played a reserved game, but really all the games were good. All of the games were fantastic. And for different reasons, I could certainly choose another game, but I thought that for me, down to the end and the suspense and everything. Cause I was like, oh, Leland and Dylan got home. I'm like, oh, Bill scored 13 seconds left. This game's over, and I'm like, and they're lining up to kick. I said, oh man, just squib kick it down there, run a few seconds off. You only leave, Mahomes maybe 10 seconds on the clock, and as soon as they put it through the end zone, I was like, what'd you do there? Why did you kick that through the end zone? And, because it didn't take any time off the clock, for Mahomes. And, of course they played loose, but anyway, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, so anyway, my game of the week was the Bills Chiefs. And what about yours?
Oh, mine was the Niners, because we won. We won in dramatic special teams fashion, blocking an extra point in the game, blocking that extra point at the end of the first half to save 3 points, then blocking the punt at the end of the game. Willis gets through there, blocks it. Rookie safety, picks it up, scoop and score.
Yeah.
And we're tie ball game. And then we end up pulling it out. So yeah, just because it was my team, but I don't think you can pick one. I mean, every game was just so awesome. And I mean, on Saturday, we watched Saturday and said, they never had two games in this round ever end in last second field goals. Oh, wow. We broke a record. And then you watch the first game and you're like, well, that's the third one in a row. No way the night game could be any better than that. And then that one's like instant classic, maybe one of the best games ever played in football history. And it was just, yeah. So, I mean, of course, my team, because they won and we have a good chance to make it to a Super Bowl but man, every game was so fabulous. I was just freaking out all weekend.
Yeah, I was too. It was a good weekend of football. And, So who is your offensive player of the week this week?
Oh, Davis, the receiver for the Bills, had 4 touchdowns, and on one of them, the last one, I mean, he made a guy flat out broke his ankles, like the guy hitched and just fell over. And I mean, when you're a receiver, to put a guy on a highlight like that, that's basically like the equivalent that you dunked on a guy in basketball. Is if you're a receiver and you can turn them around or make them trip over themselves because your route was so good. Yeah, so not only had 4 touchdowns, but he had like one of the biggest highlights on one of the touchdowns by making the cornerback just basically trip over himself off of his double move. So it's got to be that kid. That kid's got my player of the week for offense.
Yeah, mine's coming from a different game, from the Bengals, and I'm choosing the kicker, Evan Shooter McPherson. 4 field goals, 4 for 4, longest 54 yards, but he had more points than the rest of the team in that game. 13 of the 19 points that the Bengals scored came off of his foot. And, he misses one, that game's tied. So, and he's a rookie. So, there could have been all kinds of, hey, don't worry about it, rookie. You missed a kick. No big deal. It's a big stage first year, and we shouldn't have put all that weight on you kind of stuff. And this kid absolutely showed up and was absolutely phenomenal. So I did him. I also want to, I got a couple shout outs on each one, but I want a shout out to Josh Allen, not so much for his passing, the 4 touchdowns and the 320 yards, but for his 68 yards rushing, like 6 carries or 11 carries or something like that. 11 carries for 68 yards, averaging over 6. He ran strong. He ran tough, and he wasn't sliding. He was he knew what was on the line, and he was sacrificing himself to risk it. No risk it, no biscuit. So, so just a shout out to Josh Allen. But yeah, so Evan McPherson, the kicker from the Bengals, was my play it through person of the week. Yeah. I'm sorry, not play it through, but my offensive player of the week. Defense,
those Bills should be really happy. Those Bills should be really happy about what they got back there for like a long. I mean, they have themselves a franchise quarterback. Not a lot of teams can say that. You sign this kid for 10 years. Like, he's obviously a baller. I mean, he did everything in his power to win that game. I mean, that was some of the best quarterback play I'd ever seen with 2 guys against each other, and they're young. Like, I saw so many, I usually don't watch a lot of the shows, ESPN or any of those Fox Sports shows really anymore, because it's usually just a bunch of jibber jab and yelling at each other. But I wanted to watch this week, and that was the one thing that they kept repeating was just like, hey, guess what, NFL, your future's looking great. You got Mahomes, and you got Josh Allen, and you got Justin Herbert, and you got Joe Burrows, and there's some pretty good slinging quarterbacks right now that are pretty young that are going to carry this league for, the next decade or so. And if you're a Bills fan, you need to be pretty happy you have Josh Allen. You need to make sure that you keep him there for a good while, because he definitely looks like a baller.
Yeah, absolutely. For defense, though, I picked the 49ers, just defense, 5 sacks on Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's not an easy feat. And just, for that purpose, I picked them. But I also kind of a shout out. I was kind of between them and the Titans, Jeffrey Simmons, who had 3 sacks and, on his own, even though it was in a losing effort. And
he was dominant.
It was. So he had 3 sacks on his own. And I mean, really, he's really a defensive stud on that day. But I just think that, the defense for the Niners to only allow the Packers to score like 10 points was, is just a phenomenal feat. And when it just looked like Aaron Rodgers has been able to pass really on any team and move the ball and to really hold him to 10 points was just a phenomenal showing. And they just need to do it, one more week. So who was your defensive player of the week?
Yeah, the Niners were mine also, just because the Packers scored 1 offensive touchdown. It was on the first drive in like the first 5 minutes of the game first 4 minutes of the game, and then they held them the whole rest of the game. So, I mean, the first drive was the only touchdown they got, and they shut them out the whole rest of the time. And then, if you lump special teams in just for the reasons that I said that was my favorite game, if we throw special teams in with defense, 49ers special teams was just so huge with, 2 blocks. I was looking, and I couldn't find where any team had blocked a field goal and a punt in a playoff game, the same game like that before. So yeah, the special teams has to be thrown in there also.
So coaching hot seat. I mean, we only had, we're getting down there. Not a lot of coaches left to put on the hot seat. I chose Sean McDermott. I just whether he told the kicker to kick it and he didn't execute it properly. He's not someone that's going to throw his players under the bus, but I just think that not only just that kick, which could have taken a few seconds off the clock, just in the last couple of drives that Mahomes had, just they played soft on defense with their backs and safeties, and they just gave too many lanes for Hill to run open. And if you give him space, he's going to outrun you. And I just think they should have been playing a lot tighter. They should have put 3 guys on him. I don't care. Make someone else beat you. Hands down, you got to take that pass. You got to take that pass away. You have to deny that pass. It just when especially on the last 13 seconds, who's the one guy we cannot let have the ball? Tyreek Hill. And that is literally the guy you're letting catch the ball and run all over you. So just for that, I mean, obviously it's a fantastic season for the Bills. They should have won the game, but couldn't finish out. So I'm gonna put that loss on the coach and put him on the hot seat.
Yeah, I think my coaching hot seat would be Bruce Arians, and the reason it would be is just because, one, he's an older coach. He's a pretty old coach. He's had some health issues. Not a guarantee that Tom Brady's going to come back next year. If Tom leaves and you have to start all over, does Bruce Arians really want to start all over with a whole new different team and a new quarterback at his age doing this and stuff? I mean, I really think it was hey, we won last year. Let's see if we can repeat. We have the tools. Then you have the, Antonio Brown debacle. That team's going to look a lot different just because they have a lot of older players on that defensive side. Ndamukong Suh is not a young player. He's not going to be around for a whole lot longer, more seasons. Richard Sherman joined the team to try to, get a cheap Super Bowl, and he barely played. I mean, there's just going to be a lot of players I don't think we see next year. Gronk was asked this week if he had to pick today if he was going to retire or play next year. He said, if you ask me right now, I'd probably retire. And if Tom retires, of course, Gronk's retiring. He only came back to play with Tom. So I think Bruce Arians, not because of he's a bad coach. It's more situational, I think, with him. It's not so much his coaching. I just don't know if he'd want to start all over again if that's the route that the Bucs are going to be going next year.
Yeah. Hey, Robert, thanks for joining the show. Yeah, man, I agree with you. Let someone else, Pringle. You gotta put everybody you've got with 13 seconds on the clock on Hill and Kelsey. I mean, Hill's fast. Kelsey, at least you can catch. And he's big, he's strong. He's going to take you. He's going to take you, a couple extra yards, but you're going to get him. He's not going to run down the field on you. I think there's got to be some other strategies. Looking at, again, I'm looking at 13 seconds on the clock. What if you just started holding the receivers, and let the play run out? The play is going to take 4 or 5 seconds, right?
Let's take 5-yard penalties.
Yeah. And I mean, holding. Yeah. Before, prior to the pass, holding, and you're going to get the penalty, but they're not going to give time back to you.
Yeah.
You can't end the game on a holding, but so you get it down to where it's one play left, and hopefully you got Mahomes back at the 50. I mean, because they're not going to, you take some of that stuff, run some time off the clock. Maybe you don't let them into field goal range to tie the game. I don't know. It seems like there's some other oddball strategies that could play out to kill time off the clock. and you know, and it starts with not kicking the ball into the end zone. Sorry, I'm hung up on that one, but yeah. So I really wanted the Bills to win that game. I mean, I wanted to see some new faces in the Super Bowl, and so I mean, obviously, you know, we still could. I mean, the Bengals have I think a fantastic shot of beating um, the Chiefs, and obviously the 49ers have already beaten the Rams twice this year. They can certainly beat the Rams. I think a Bengals 49ers Super Bowl would be fun to watch. And but go ahead.
No, I'll save it for our picks.
Yeah. So before we get into that, why don't we go ahead and do our play it through person of the week? I like who you selected, and I got a little side story once you're done as well. So I'm gonna let you go ahead, and I'm gonna check out and let you take care of this week's play it through person of the week.
All right, cool. Yeah, I was kind of surprised I hadn't actually had this individual on before. I was looking through my list of people, and I would almost assumed I would have, but I haven't. So this week's play it through person of the week is Bethany Hamilton. So very, very famous surfer, female surfer. When she was 13, she had a shark attack. And that shark attack, you can see what it did to the board. You can also see, unfortunately, what it did to Bethany. She lost her left arm, but, strong little girl, determined. This was, she was 13, so it was 18 years ago. She's now 31 years old. But just like a couple months after she got out of the hospital when she was 13, she went back to competitions, winning competitions, still with one arm, learned how to, of course, get up on the board with one arm and paddle out one arm. This is her actually riding the biggest wave she has ever ridden. And that was when she was, that was like in 2018. So just, 4 years ago. So she's still been riding. She was going to try to qualify for the 2021 professional women's tour. But I think because COVID started and everything, she kind of had some difficulties trying to get back into it. Plus, she is also a mother of 3. So she's, been married for 8 years to her husband, Adam. They're her kids, Tobias, Wesley, and Micah. Micah, she had about like a year ago. So they're like 6, 3, and 1. And really, that's how I came across her and how she popped in my head, because I follow her on Instagram. And she had Instagram posts basically, trying to help other mothers and kind of showing how she takes care of 3 kids with one arm, and, how she changes diapers. Sometimes she has to use her feet, and all these different tricks and stuff to, other mothers that might need help like that. So she is very famous. She's had 2 books came out in 2018. She has this movie, a documentary about, her life called Unstoppable. And, she even has an online course you can take, a year course that helps, other people going through diversities. And in 2016, she was up for an ESPY for the best female athlete with a disability. And she took her name out of the running, her nomination off, because she said, I don't see myself as disabled. I still surf just as good as I always have. I would say I'm more adaptive. She said, but I am not disabled, so I don't fall into that category. So, she goes and does a lot of public speaking. And I think that's maybe where your story was going to come in here, Chuck. But, just a great person to follow. If you haven't seen her documentary or read any of her books or anything about her, go check her out. She competed, at the highest level, even after her accident when she was a teen up until her early 20s. And then she kind of started her family, and she took the time off, and she hasn't been competing professionally. Her last professional competition was in 2010. So it's been over a decade since she's actually competed, professionally, but she still surfs all the time. She was raised in Hawaii. That's where she's always lived. She still lives there with her family and lives right on the beach, so she can go out with her family. She can go out by herself and surf those amazing Hawaiian waves still whenever she'd like. So great story. If you don't know about her, she's a great person to follow on Instagram. Also check out, like I said, her documentary, her books, very inspiring. But that's why Bethany Hamilton is our Play It Through Person of the Week.
No, that's awesome. That was a fantastic pick. And I didn't know she hadn't competed, after 2010 after that. So, yeah, I was unaware because I knew she was back on the board and surfing just as well as you mentioned as she was previously, but didn't know that she actually wasn't competing any longer at a professional level. And, but yeah, not to take away from her, but you brought this up and the little side story, was we actually had Bethany Hamilton, at our church to speak. And so the church had asked us to because she's from Hawaii. And so it was like, and my buddy, Steve Devine, and I, who lived across the street, basically were asked to make pulled pork sandwiches. My mouse just died. And, so I'm trying to get my mouse back. And, so there we go. And, so actually we had to make over 3,000 pulled pork sandwiches, for, because they were expecting over 3,000 people to show up, to service the three. We had like 3 services. We had an overflow room with the video. We had TVs outside. But yeah, so this was us. This is my buddy Steve here in the yellow shirt here, and basically we rented a professional smokers rotisserie smoker here. The guy just showed up, and so no, we're just not checking it out here. But yes, and then there we are. There I am with this thing loaded up. We did 72 pork butts, and that weekend, and we rubbed. We had a butt rubbing party on Friday, and rubbed 72 butts. Leela helped. Everyone was on hand to help do that, and then we put them on Saturday about 12 noon. And not all of them would fit on here. We had 2 other smokers with more the rest of the pork butts on it, and then we used my smoker to cook food for us for the time. And then and then about midnight, this is somewhere around midnight, we started pulling all the pork butts off and double wrapping them. So we had some guys around to help us, and we got those wrapped and we put them back on the smoker until like 6 a.m. And then we went down, pulled them. Here we are kind of set up, and we got some help there to kind of build the sandwiches, and there I am. And we were pulling pork all morning. We had people lined up around the corner to see Bethany Hamilton, and we fed over 3,000 people, and I never got to see one service. Unfortunately, I never actually got to see Bethany Hamilton. And it's always fun to have a butt rubbing party, Robert. And so no, good times. And I mean, just to kind of tie in with the whole Bethany Hamilton thing, and but it was a fantastic story, and good on her, and moving on with their life in a very positive way. And I love the fact that she turned down that ESPY for that sole reason. And because it's just a true testament to someone that has absolutely played it through and is rid of that, what we might consider a disability. And so with that, moving into this week. So before we get into our picks, we need to look at where we're at. And so we're all tied up right now, and we've got 3 possible picks left. We got this weekend 2 games in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So my 13-game lead, or 13-pick lead, that really evaporated quickly in the last few weeks. And so, I need to be careful. I'm just going to, I'm just going to pick every game you do. No, I'm kidding. And we'll just tie. No, I wouldn't do that. So this week, not a lot to pick. This is going to actually go pretty quick. And so we only got 2 games this weekend, I believe both on Sunday. And so we've got Kansas City. Kansas City will be at home and against the Bengals. So the Bengals will be going to KC, and Kansas City is favored by 7 points. I know what you're gonna pick in the next game, so I'm gonna jump out and I'm gonna take the Bengals. I'll just go first on this one and I'm gonna take the Bengals in this. Yeah, I'm taking the Bengals, and hopefully to win. I want to see the Bengals win.
Man, they got a shot, but I'm just gonna have to take the Chiefs. The Chiefs are at home. They got Mahomes. The guy can throw balls under guys' armpits. I saw it last weekend. He bent a ball around and under a guy's armpit. And that's a hard place to play in Kansas City. They're loud. They have great fans there. And I think this Bengals team might just be – they're either so young and naive it's not going to matter, or they're just not quite ready yet, because you have, guys that have already won a Super Bowl on this Chiefs team. I don't know if the Bengals are ready on the road yet for this moment. You see them in a couple years, I think they are. Right now, I don't think they are. So for that reason, I'm going to take the Chiefs. The only thing that I worry about, though, Matthew Al. I mean, you saw how much Allen could burn the Chiefs without the honey badger back there at safety. So if he's not healthy enough to play, old Joey Burrow is going to be throwing 50-yard bombs to his college teammate Chase. They'll take shots down the field for sure. But I just can't bet against Mahomes. I mean, that guy's a magician.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I'm just picking it because I want to see someone different, and that's.
Oh, I'd love if the Bengals would win. I would love it.
Yeah.
I just don't know if they will. I would love to see it.
So the next game, San Francisco is going to SoFi, where the Super Bowl is going to be, and a couple weeks later, and the Rams are still they've lost to San Francisco twice. They're still favored by 3.5. I mean, that's kind of home field plus half a point. I know you're going to take the Rams.
Love me that Cooper Kupp.
It's so hard to bet against the Rams here, but I'm going to, and I'm going to take the Niners.
So this is, of course, I'm going to take the Niners, but it's just, man, as a true Niner fan, since I'm like 5 years old, it's a weird position because we're on the road against a team we've beat twice already this season, yet we're underdogs. But the last game we beat them, we had to come back by quite a big margin and pull off a miracle. The first game, we beat them fairly well. That being said, there's always a thing in basketball and football, basically any sport. It's hard to beat any team 3 times in a row. It's just a thing. It's a saying I remember since I was in high school. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row. But I'm just like, it boggled my mind when I saw the line, because I was like, we've already beat them twice. Why would we be the underdog, especially the last game where we had more fans in SoFi than they did?
Right.
And then I hear that's maybe going to be the situation again, where it could be 50-50 fans at this away game for us. So, and it's hard not to get my hopes up, because I watched us already beat them twice this year. So it's like, we know we can do it. I was way more worried about beating the Packers than I would be beating the Rams, because I know we've beat them twice already. Like, we can do it. I've seen it this year twice. But it's a hard setup, because if we do lose, it just sucks that much more, because you beat them twice already, and you can beat them. So if you lose to get to the Super Bowl, it's just kind of like, well, crap, But yeah, I think we have a great shot. Like I said, I would rather be playing them. We know them. We've played them twice. I'd rather play them than the Packers or the Bucs in this game. I wouldn't want to play Rodgers or Brady in the game to go to the Super Bowl. The game before going to the Super Bowl, fine. But this is always my favorite weekend. I mean, the last weekend will be the greatest of all time, but I always look forward to this weekend. Conference championship weekend. Who's going to make it to the Super Bowl? Usually I like this weekend more than the Super Bowl, because those guys are, doing everything they can to get there. But we'll
Yeah.
we'll see. But I like our shot. Like I said, I've seen my team beat this team twice this season. I like my chances. I feel pretty confident. We're pulling off miracle victories at the end of the season, our last 3 games. We just might have all that momentum working for us. I didn't think we were going to go to the Super Bowl, 2018-19 when we went, and we lost to the Mahomes. I didn't think we were going to go that year. So it's either going to be a rematch of us and Mahomes, or it could be the rematch of 1988 when Joe Montana threw that slant pass to John Taylor at the end of the game, to win that Super Bowl. So either way, as long as my Niners get there, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, and Robert's correct. I mean, the AFC is let's throw the ball around and see how it falls at the end of the game, just kind of like the Bills Chiefs game last week. And you're right. The NFC is, you've got those 2 young coaches, and who's going to be calling a better game? Who's going to be plan better? I think Sean McVay has more planning to do this week to try and find a way to beat the Niners. And yeah, they almost pulled it off last week, but I think there's a lot of momentum for the Niners coming in, and Matt Stafford's due to lose. He's had a couple of good games, and he's been pretty good with the ball. I'll tell you what, having Cam Akers back has been, I think, why they're still in it. They should have lost. Yeah, I think Cam Akers has been a big thing for them. Obviously, Cooper Kupp, but I just think Cam Akers has been a good jolt to that offense and taken pressure off of Stafford having to sling it all the time. And but I think the Niners can put some pressure on him, and I think they'll be coming for him. And they know, hey, all we got to do is make him make some mistakes. We got the defense back mistakes there. And we just, that probably would be some of my game plan going in. We need to disrupt, Stafford and get him to throw some bad passes and take advantage of those, turnovers. And as long as Garoppolo can stays consistent and doesn't throw interception, turn the ball over, basically, they could pull it off. And so it's going to be a fun game. That's going to be a fun one to watch. And but I'm kind of hoping that it's the Bengals Niners in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and one thing I don't like on the Rams side is there's personal ties currently to Cooper Kupp. My wife went to the same high school as him, Davis High in Yakima, Washington. And three of the only people that are watching the show right now, Robert Harris is an alumni of Eastern Washington, along with Cooper Kupp. So there is personal ties to Cooper Kupp and the Rams right now as we speak, doing this show surrounding me. And I don't like that energy. I'm telling you, I don't like that. I don't like that energy. My wife has a high school Davis High baseball hat signed by Cooper Kupp. Her dad gave her for Christmas last year in my freaking closet by my 49er swag. I don't like it.
You should put a towel or something over that. It's bad juju. And
it is.
So the one person that doesn't care about Cooper Kupp right now. Hey Kim, how you doing? Thanks for joining the show. But yeah, so going to be a great weekend of football, I think, again. And I think I got to get something on the smoker this weekend. And maybe I'll get a brisket and do a nice 18-hour smoke on a brisket. And but yeah, so it's going to be a ton of fun. I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, what? Go ahead.
So Sunday, right? It's when all these games happen, right?
Yeah.
I have to throw my stepson his 13th birthday party at our home. I don't even know how much of the games I'm even going to be able to watch. I'm going to have a dad of a 13-year-old t-shirt on instead of my Kittle jersey, which is going to
you're kind of freezing up right there, but
yeah, I can't wear my Kittle jersey. I have to wear a dad of a teenager t-shirt. And I've been wearing my Kittle jersey every game. So I might have to wear it over top of my Kittle jersey. I don't know. we'll see what happens. But I'm a busy guy on Sunday. It's not football related. But the kid, the kid takes precedence over the game. So,
I will. Robert says, "Don't jinx your team," and there's more birthdays in the world.
There is. Hey,
there's always 14, and you know what? And 15 and 16.
And his birthday is actually Monday. We're just celebrating it on Sunday. So maybe I wear the shirt Monday instead.
So your parents are going to be there.
They are big fans, Jim and Cindy.
And they're watching the show. Your dad's going to be watching the game. So
he'll skip the party. He'll just be like, bring me a piece of pizza. Yeah.
And so I'll try not to text you during the game then in case you're not watching it and say, because Dave and I do that during the games. We text each other. And so I'll try not to.
I'm sure I'll have all the blinds to the house open. So if I'm outside, I can still see the TV in the living room from outside. Yeah, I'll figure it out. You don't worry.
You get some like what I do is when I'm around the house, I'm outside working, I'm watching the game, I'll put an AirPod in or both AirPods, and I can still talk to people and listen to the game at the same time. And so Robert's all over your costume changes, man, and just don't have a wardrobe malfunction.
You don't want to see a little Janet action?
Spin those tassels or what's in a little pasties or whatever. All right. So, thank you, everyone. I think we're at the end of the show. I haven't finished this yet. I've just been kind of nursing it. But it will be, when you finish your bottle, I'll finish my brew. But no, it's gonna be a fun week. Robert and Kim and Jim and Cindy, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy sports, enjoy your family, enjoy whatever it is you guys got planned this weekend. And we're always thankful that you guys join us and share your thoughts and stuff. So any final words?
Happy birthday to Cindy too. She's 50. She's hit 50. Cindy's birthday this weekend, also on Saturday.
Happy birthday. So, all right, fans, we will all see you next week. Same, I was gonna say bat time, bat channel, but same place, same time, 9:00 on the West Coast, or 8:00 on the West Coast, 9:00, not on the West Coast where I'm at. So have a fantastic week, everyone. We'll see you later. Bye.